Everyone for joining us today. We had a really great conversation with over 200 district and county superintendents and business clerks yesterday about the ESSER funds opening in eGrants. And so we're going to have Ken and Jay give an overview of what was discussed yesterday. And we also have Jack on the line if there's any questions about equitable services. So over to Ken or Jay.
So let me start off by saying that the eGrants application opened yesterday. In the system, I've been designated as the grant manager, and I've gotten, I believe, 3 emails so far informing me that schools have completed their applications. I should go in and approve them so that the schools are then can then make cash draws. So it's underway. I think we've talked before about how we ended up breaking the 2 allocations into separate grants, the main ESSER allocation, and then the $3 million for special education uses. I think that's caused some issues, but I'll let Jay talk about that. One of the things I talked to the school superintendents about yesterday that I'll mention here as well is that we went through a risk assessment process for this grant. This came out of the Title I audit that the agency had in the fall, in which it was determined we weren't doing enough in the department's eyes for assessing risk of grants and for taking actions to mitigate those risks. So for this grant, this was kind of the first try at a new process for this. But basically what we've done in the past is those schools that have a single audit, that they're large enough to get one, would be assigned a category of high risk or watch if they had lots of issues with their audits. For this grant, we expanded that to all of the schools that we got audits on in the past year. So it includes both schools that get what we call a yellow book audit. In other words, they don't get a single audit, but they're fairly large schools. And there's a category of schools that need to only get a review every 3 or 4 years, and use the same point system to say these have financial risk. We also looked at some other factors, but nothing really came to fore. And so for those schools that are receiving more than $50,000 from this grant, and are in either a risk or watch status, for those that are under 50,000 and are already in a high status, we're assigning them the risk category. But in this case, the effect of that is intentionally being kept pretty light. What it means is that, first of all, I have to approve their application. Second of all, any cash draw that they make, I will have to look at instead of a grant account, just as another pair of eyes. And last, for those that are in this category, once a quarter, I'll make a call to them to just, again, inquire about any issues. And if we see any issues on our sides, to be able to talk to the business manager or clerk for that district. Again, this is our first try at this of a new system. And hopefully it's, again, not going to have much effect in terms of the schools getting the money and be able to spend it appropriately. So let me pause there, and if there are any questions about those things that I talked about, otherwise I'll turn it over to Jay. Jay, it sounds like it's yours.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Good morning.
Yes.
Okay, so so as Ken stated, the applications opened yesterday. For the most part, we had a pretty good rollout. The ESSER funds was open, and like Ken said, we've got applications that have been submitted. I just went out there and looked, and we have 7 as of this morning. The related services, we did have an enhancement that we had to make once we opened it. We found out that one of the formulas actually was not going to calculate correctly, and so we actually shut the application down shortly so we could make that fix. But other than that, everything has been going good. Been getting a lot of questions. I've gotten a couple of questions myself in regards to primarily allowable uses of the funds. People are, doing a good job of reaching out and asking if, their personal services can be used and if those funds can be replaced if they had expended at the local level. And so I think that I anticipate there's going to be quite a few people that are going to actually submit for this first round. We did provide yesterday the dates of the application, and I'll run through those with you guys so you know the timing. The application itself opened up yesterday, which was June 1st, and then we're going to close the applications on June 30th. We're going to do a cash request in June so that anybody who has incurred expenses in this current fiscal year can actually book those and make the adjustments and won't have to do a prior period adjustment in the subsequent fiscal year. So June 22nd, we'll have the cash requests open. Short window to have them completed to be June 24th when we actually close those dates, but then make a first distribution on June 26th. Last day for the amendments would be September 1st if somebody needed to go in and make a realignment of their budget. And then after that, all of the general requests will go out on the same cycle as all of our other federal grants, which is cash requests are due on the 25th and payments are made out on the 10th. And so all in all, looks like things are rolling out good. Great questions coming in from the field, and so we're here to support everybody. And I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have as well.
Thanks, Jay. And that information's available on the website, correct?
Yes.
Are there any questions for Jay or Ken? Any comments, or are you hearing anything from the field, from your respective audiences?
Jack.
Did you want Jack to give any updates? Jack, do you want to give a quick update about the discussions yesterday?
Yeah, thank you, Dylan, Superintendent Arnson. So just as a reminder, equitable share does come into play with the funds, and that's done on a proportional share. So the districts in the application have their enrollment numbers, and then they need to get the number of students who are enrolled in the private schools. For those that are participating, I should be more specific. And then the grant application will calculate the proportional share of those funds that have to be set aside for non-public participation. And then districts will have to take that amount and then divide it out on a per pupil amount basis for the numbers of students who are participating in each non-public school. Please remember that in Montana, private schools and homeschools are considered the same. So that's a part of this process. Unlike under Title I equitable share, where funds go out according to low income counts, these funds are going out by enrolled students. So it may cause the equitable share portion to be significantly higher than districts would expect under Title I. But until those individual districts get back their intent to participate forms from the non-public schools, we won't know exactly what that's going to look like.
Thanks, Jack. And that information has been communicated to the county superintendents and district superintendents. So we discussed that a little bit yesterday. Any questions for Jack?
This is Pad. Jack, what does that look like for homeschools deciding? Are they deciding whether or not like an individual homeschool is participating or not?
Yes, correct. So districts are required to send out intent to participate forms. Not only they already did for federal programs, which are the title programs, but then they're sending out a second round now for CARES Act, and that goes out to everybody. County superintendents actually get that information. It's required by law for homeschools and private schools to register yearly with county superintendents. That goes into a private school web application that we have online. And then districts go in and they can get the contact information for any non-public school within their district boundaries. And then they send out a letter and a form to all of those entities asking if they want to participate in CARES Act funding. There's a 10-day window for them to do that, whatever date the district sends out that notification. And then they will take those numbers of participating kiddos and put them into the calculations that are in the e-grant application for CARES funds.
Thanks, Jack. That was a great answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Any other questions or comments? All right, well, that was all that we had on the agenda.
Right.
Superintendent, any?
We are going to hold another Zoom call within 2 weeks to make sure that superintendents and business officials have any other questions that they might want to do, because the window pretty much for this fiscal year ends July, the end of June, pardon me. So we'll be doing that and give you more notification on that. Other than that, it was a successful deployment yesterday, even though the state changed its whole Zoom format and everything 15 minutes before we had the 238 entities on the call. But I want to applaud Ken, Jay, and Jack for everything that they have done to be able to give these dollars. I believe Montana is one of the very few states that is deploying the dollars early so that we can get it as close to that student and as close to the purpose for relief for COVID as possible. So within all of that, stay well, stay healthy, and we'll have another advocate call next Tuesday. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Mm-hmm.